All right, my lovelies, because everybody is apparently stuck inside doing some things, I'm going to start streaming some story time. I don't have very many of my books here, but what I do have are a bunch of kids' books. Like this Tales from Rescall Lane by Mick Foley, WWE superstar Mick Foley. He writes kids' books. He's also really into Christmas. That's right, Mankind, the crazed man, writes kids' books, and they're pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and have to say so. We're gonna do Kurt's Coaster Crisis today. The sun shone down on Rescall Lane. The sky was clear and blue. It's a great day for some rides, said Kurt, and that, my friends, is true. The children stopped beside Kurt's house, but before they left to play, Kurt cooked a hearty breakfast, a great way to start the day. The scrambled eggs for Triple H, Mick and Stacy asked for toast. They waited for the bread. While they waited for the bread to brown, Kurt began to boast. The children were all used to this, for Kurt was quite a boaster. I bet I'm the only one to ride the roller coaster. Kurt then laughed and reminded them about the trip they planned. This is not a kiddie park. We're going to Vinnieland. Vinnieland is a new theme park built by Vince McMahon, and its Titan roller coaster was the tallest in the land. It's true, Kurt reconfirmed as he took toast from the toaster. I will be the only kid to ride the roller coaster. Just when the food was eaten, Kurt stood and said, "Let's go." "Just a minute," Stacy said. "We're waiting for Al Snow." Kurt looked out and saw young Al, who struggled with his bike. "I can't believe you invited him, the one rascal I don't like." Mick then pleaded, "Let him come," as Al fumbled with the pedals. All right, Kurt gave in, "but don't let him touch my medals." The medals were Kurt's pride and joy. He'd never been the same since coming home with triple gold from the worldwide Rescall Games. He once had been a humble child, but after he won gold, his friends had grown a wee bit tired of the stories that he told. Nonetheless, Kurt was their friend, so they tried to understand. They wouldn't let his bragging spoil a day at Vinnieland. So off the children headed, without further hesitation, and caught the next departing train to the Rescall Lane at the Rescall Lane train station. Kurt sat down inside the train and he eyed his medals with great pride. He knew he'd be a champ again aboard the coaster ride. Then Hunter yawned. "We're sleepy, Kurt. You're being such a pain. You flapped your jaws nonstop since we left Rescall Lane." "Fine," yelled Kurt. "Go to sleep. You'll miss out on all my glory." Then a tiny voice was heard saying, "I'd like to hear a story." Kurt looked down at little Al, who sat with his toy head. "So you'd like to hear a story? I've got another plan instead." "Shut your mouth. Don't talk to me. That is my demand. Pretend you do not know me when we get to Vinnieland." The train chugged on to the park, and while their friends were sleeping, Kurt smug smiled as he heard small sobs. Little Al was weeping. The silver train screeched to a halt. The children sprang awake. Stacy saw the castle in the distance by the lake. The children simply stood in awe, for truly it was grand. A place where children's dreams come true, a place called Vinnieland. Kurt stared down at his gold and, without the slightest hinting, started running at full speed for the entrance he was sprinting. All the children bolted too and joined Kurt in the race. All that is, except poor Al, who could not keep the pace. The struggling boy made Mick sad, for the two of them were pals. Then, as he had for many years, Mick picked up and carried Al. There's a lot going on here. If you're not familiar with your wrestling background, his face turned red to match his shirt, but he made it to the end. He hopped down and gave Mick a hug and said, "You are my best friend." "That's enough," said Triple H. "Cut out the sappy stuff. We're going to the coaster now, and it could get a little rough." "Too rough for Al," Kurt yelled out, but Stacy said, "Be quiet." Al looked up and seemed quite scared, saying, "I guess that I could try it." Mick then said, "I've got a plan that makes a lot of sense. A way for Al to have some fun in case the coaster is too intense." Ooh, blurry. Come on. Sorry, my camera has decided to just, we'll just keep going. It'll probably, there we go. Let's all go on a small ride first, as if Al's a little frightened, then he can watch while we all ride the roller coaster Titan. The children walked and made a left at the Christmas shop called Scrooge's. Up ahead, the sign proclaimed the spook house of the Stooges. This ride would be a perfect test. The children all agreed. The spook house cars squeaked a bit, but they traveled at slow speed. Stacy rode with Triple H, Mick doubled with Al Snow. Kurt Angle rode by himself and was the first to go. Upon their re-emergence, the kiddies seemed quite pleased. All of them but Al, that is, who had his head between his knees. A callous Kurt threw up his hands and said, "Hey, what the heck?" If there was an award for biggest baby, he'd have gold around his neck. Stacy tried to dry Al's eyes, but his tears were uncontrollable. Mick did his best to comfort him, but Al was inconsolable. A giant voice then filled the air. It boomed, "What's the matter, son? Were you scared of a bit by Briscoe's dress, or the ghost of Patterson?" The voice belonged to Vince McMahon, who seemed to understand. He wiped away all Al's tears and took him by the hand. "Why not try some smaller ride, like Edge's Awesome Train? You can ride with both my kids, Stephanie and Shane." "Take a little wimp," sneered Kurt. "Our load needs to be lightened. Now if you have the guts, let's leave and ride the Titan." The Titan seemed to touch the stars. Its cars dropped from the clouds. The children seemed a little scared, but Kurt Angle laughed out loud. "Stacy, Mick, and Triple H, have you three seen a ghost? Or maybe you're not tough enough to ride this roller coaster?" Stacy started shaking as she climbed into the car. Mick sure seemed to hesitate as he pulled down the safety bar. The coaster went click, click, click as it began its steep ascent. Hunter thought about his guts, like where the heck they went. Suddenly, the car plunged down. They felt like they were flying. Amidst familiar Rescall laughs, Mick heard somebody crying. The Titan zigged and zagged when it looped the loop. Stacy looked at Triple H and said, "I think I smell poop." The Rescall savored every thrill, but when the car screeched to a halt, Kurt quickly jumped up from his seat with a mighty vault. For a moment, they all thought that he had went back to that coaster, or stopped to have a tasty snack at Stone Cold's Country Roasters. Instead, they saw him run on past a ride called Heat and Pushies. He zipped to the left of J.R. Steaks and disappeared into the bushes. The children searched throughout the park until their feet were throbbing. Then, behind a massive rock, they heard Kurt Angle sobbing. "It's just one ride," Stacy coaxed. "Kurt, your day isn't spoiled." "It is too. It's true. My wrestling singlet's soiled." The Rascals tried hard not to laugh when they saw the singlet sagging, for Kurt had been a real jerk, mean and always bragging. Instead, they tried to help their friend, for whom they liked despite his ego. "I promise not to boast," Kurt vowed, "on trips wherever we go." His helpful friends searched for new clothes, but all to no avail, till a small sign on Jabroni Drive read, "Wrestling Singlet Sale." When Kurt tried on his new outfit, his chest swelled up with pride. "Maybe we should find out," he said, "and go on some smaller rides." For hours, the five friends laughed and played on Edge's Awesome Train, and Kurt let Al Snow wear his gold all the way home from Rescall Lane. Oh, that's adorable, isn't it? All right, everybody, thank you. Maybe tomorrow we'll do some adult books, but if this all turned out okay on your Twitter, hopefully you can put this in front of your kids and let a stranger on the internet read your kid a book about a kid that poops himself on a roller coaster. Who doesn't want that?